Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to share with you guys some of my favorite shows to binge watch. I separated all of the shows into categories, so if you're in the mood to watch something in particular, you should find something in this video that you'll enjoy. If not, that's fine. I know not everyone has the same taste, so if you guys like this video or you don't find something that you're interested in, I'll probably upload a part 2 in a few weeks. The first category I'm going to share is comedy, because let's be real, that's the best category. I wanted to start with Brooklyn Nine-Nine because I think it's so funny, it's hilarious. This show basically just follows the day-to-day lives of the members of the 99th precinct. Most of the show takes place in a police station. Each character is so different, but they're all so funny. They're always joking around or bringing out their competitive sides, whether it's in the police station or outside of it. You can find this show on Hulu. That's what I watch it on. I'm sure you could watch it someplace else, but if you have a Hulu account, make sure to go watch that. This show cracks me up. So basically, a father, his wife, and their 2 children suddenly go broke after living this lavish lifestyle. They lose everything they have except for this super small town that the dad bought for the son as a joke called Schitt's Creek, and after losing everything, they really have no other choice but to move there. They're all super spoiled, super bratty, but they have to come to terms with living in their new environment. They're all just crazy. Just watch the first episode. I promise you'll laugh. For this show, I used Netflix. Alright, next up we have New Girl. This will forever be one of my all-time favorite shows. So Jessica Day moves into a loft with 3 other guys after ending a relationship with her cheating ex. They all form this unlikely bond, and they're always cleaning up each other's messes or making messes together. These characters are all really different, but they find a way to coexist and they all become best friends. Nick Miller is one of my all-time favorite characters ever. You can watch New Girl on Netflix. That's where I watch it. Again, I'm sure you could find it someplace else, but that's what I always used to watch it. Alright, the next show is Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. I don't really know what to say about this show. If you like watching comedians hanging out, joking around, and talking about random stuff, then this show is definitely for you. I watch Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee on Netflix. The next show we have is Young and Hungry. This show starts off with an inspiring chef, Gabby, who gets hired by a rich tech entrepreneur named Josh. There's some romance, some humor, and some sticky situations between Gabby, Josh, Gabby's roommate Sophia, and Josh's 2 employees, Yolanda and Elliot. I watch Young and Hungry on Netflix. Next on the list is Big Mouth. This is an animated series. It's geared towards adults, even though the characters on the show are trying to navigate their way through puberty. It's super funny, super relatable, and really interesting to see how these kids deal with the transitions going on in their lives. I use Netflix to watch Big Mouth. The next category we have is drama. The next show we've probably all seen. It's a Netflix original, and this show is Outer Banks. This show follows the lives of a group of best friends that go on a hunt for John B's dad's treasure after he goes missing. The show is based in the Outer Banks, hence the title, and there's this rivalry kind of between the Pogues and the Kooks, or the working class and the wealthier people. There's a ton of drama, some unlikely alliances, some romance, and overall the characters are just really fun, super relatable, and likable. I started watching this show on Netflix called Good Girls, and I was automatically hooked. Basically, these 3 women find themselves carrying huge financial burdens, and they decide to take matters into their own hands to relieve themselves of this financial burden by making some risky and illegal decisions. So ultimately they realize that a life of crime brings more problems than they could have imagined, but they keep getting deeper and deeper involved because they love the thrill. They love the money, and they love the feeling of being somewhat in control of their lives, even if it brings some unwanted consequences. The next show on my list is a show called Imposters. You can find it on Netflix. One of the main characters in this show is a con artist. Basically, she makes these men and women fall in love with her and marry her so she can take everything they have. She works with this older woman and this older man, and they disguise themselves and play these characters so their wealthy targets trust them enough to let them in their lives. And then they just take everything. This con artist lifestyle that they've lived for so long gets a little bit messy when the younger con artist's ex-lovers eventually try and track her down. The next show we have is Dexter. I watched this show on Netflix. It's kind of an older show, but I still love it. Dexter is a blood splatter analyst working for the Miami police, and he's also a serial killer. He only murders the guilty, so he feels his decisions are justified, but nobody knows his secret. Not even his sister, and she also works for the Miami Police Department. I hate to say it, but I love his character. Each episode is suspenseful and unique. You're really always on the edge of your seat. Another Netflix series I wanted to share with you guys is Dead to Me. So after both suffering tragic losses, these two very different women become friends after meeting at a support group. And one of them is hiding a major secret that would completely destroy the friendship that they've built. There's definitely a lot of dark humor in this show, but you really get drawn in from the very first episode. I know probably every teenage girl has seen this show. I swore up and down that I was not gonna watch this show. I thought it would be dumb, honestly. I rewatched this show probably at least 4 times, and it just never gets old. The storyline is just so good, and it's relatable. Not because of the wealth and the lavish lifestyles that they live, but just because of the characters, their personalities, and their character development. It's just really intriguing to watch these Upper East Side teens deal with scandals, drama, and the mystery of not knowing who Gossip Girl is. It's just really suspenseful. I love every element of this show, from the fashion to the characters to the depiction of life in the city, and really everything in between. So next up is The Carrie Diaries. I used to watch this show on Netflix, but I know they took it off recently. I know you can watch it on Amazon Prime. I guess it's a prequel to Sex and the City. I've never seen that show, and I could follow along with it, so you don't have to watch that. This show follows Carrie Bradshaw in her teenage years. So after getting an internship at a Manhattan law firm, Carrie meets this lady from Interview magazine, and Carrie quickly realizes that her heart belongs to New York City and not Connecticut, where she actually lives. She's so drawn in by the glamour and excitement, and she tries to make her dreams happen while still going to school and living under her father's roof. The next category of shows I have to share is competition shows. The next show we have is Making It. You can find this show on Hulu. This is a craft competition show. The contestants have to make, create, and build these amazing projects. It's so heartwarming and fun to see all of these crafters' visions come to life through the stuff that they make. Amy Poehler and Nick Offerman from Parks and Rec are the hosts of this show, and the whole show is just really inspiring and really gets your creative juices flowing. We have Sugar Rush, which you can find on Netflix. This show is a baking competition. Contestants go through 3 rounds, usually cupcakes, confections, and a cake round. They're all competing for a huge money prize, and the creations they come up with are some of the most creative and fancy desserts. They usually follow a theme for each episode and then bake according to the theme that they're given. The next show we have is Buddy vs. Duff. If you watch baking shows, or you've watched Cake Boss, or you know pastry chef Duff Goldman, then you've got to see this. They compete in different rounds until one of them wins the overall competition. Buddy definitely takes a more traditional approach, while Duff kind of thinks outside of the box. It's super entertaining and pretty suspenseful if you're rooting for one or the other. Next up for the competition shows, we have a show called Holy Moly. The show is on Hulu. Steph Curry is an executive producer. Mini golf lovers from all over compete on a super hard miniature golf course created to put their mini golf skills to the test with crazy obstacles and tricky holes. Next up we have a show called The Floor is Lava. This show is on Netflix. This is just a game show that's exactly what it sounds like. The floor is lava. You have to get through an obstacle course without falling into the lava. It's just pretty funny to watch these contestants try and make it through the obstacle course without falling in. So if you need a show to just pass the time or get a good laugh, then that's your show. The last show that I wanted to share is called Next in Fashion. You can find this show on Netflix. In this show, hosted by Alexa Chung and Tan France, fashion designers from all over compete for a cash prize and the opportunity to have their clothes debuted. It's really cool to watch the design process and see how much work goes into their creations. So each episode they have to create outfits, and then towards the end of the episode they reveal them at a fashion show where they're then judged by Alexa Chung, Tan France, and usually a guest judge. The last two shows I wanted to share with you guys are just shows that make you feel good. I wanted to add Tiny House Nation to this list. You can find it on Netflix. Tiny houses just seem to be all the rage lately. It's definitely really interesting to see how people downsize and make living in such a small space work for them. The design elements of these houses are incredible. It's actually really mind-blowing to hear all of the reasons that people give for going tiny, as they say. It's also really interesting to see how their own personal style gets incorporated into such a tiny space. Most of you have probably seen this advertising recently. It's on Netflix. It's Down to Earth with Zac Efron. Zac Efron and a wellness expert travel around the world to find healthy and sustainable ways to live. It's super enlightening, very educational. I learned so many things from watching this. It really just makes you think and reflect on your own life and how you're living, and definitely on the changes that we all could be making. This is the end of the video. If you guys have any shows that you'd like to recommend to me, leave them in the comments below and I'll definitely make sure to check those out. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and I will see you in next week's video. Bye guys.